The ship landed hard. Kang Daeho felt his teeth shake as the metal floor hit the ground. Around him, 500 people held onto the walls and seats. Some were crying, some were praying. Daeho just looked at his hands. They were the hands of a builder. Strong hands, useful hands. He would need them soon. The doors opened with a loud hiss. Bright light poured in. Daeho stood up slowly and walked toward the exit. He was 34 years old. Back on Earth, he had been a construction foreman in Busan. He built apartment buildings. He built shopping centers. He built things that lasted. Now he was standing on a planet called Vera 7, and he had nothing but the clothes on his back. The air smelled strange. It was clean, but there was something else in it. Something sweet, like flowers that did not exist on Earth. Daeho stepped onto the ground. The dirt was purple. The sky was green. 2 suns hung in the air, one big and orange, one small and white. "Welcome to Vera 7, said a voice. Daeho turned. The alien was tall, almost 3 meters high. Its skin was gray and smooth, like wet stone. It had 4 arms and 2 large black eyes. When it spoke, its mouth did not move. The words came from somewhere inside its chest. "I am Velith," the alien said. "I am the administrator of this settlement zone. You are the first humans to live on a Corvani world. We hope you will be comfortable here." Daeho looked around. There was nothing here. Just flat land, purple dirt, and some trees in the distance. The trees had blue leaves. Everything was wrong. Everything was alien. But Daeho had built things in worse places. "Where do we live?" asked a woman behind Daeho. Her name was Yoon Hana. She was young, maybe 28, with short black hair and tired eyes. Daeho had seen her on the ship. She was an agricultural engineer from Seoul. Velith made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We will build shelters for you. Proper Corvani structures, strong and beautiful. They will be ready in 18 standard months." 18 months? Daeho said. "Where do we sleep tonight?" Velith pointed with one of its 4 arms. A Corvani worker was unloading boxes from a smaller ship. The boxes contained thin sheets of material and metal poles. "Emergency tents," Velith explained. "They are designed for temporary use. They will protect you from light rain and mild wind." Daeho walked over to the boxes. He picked up one of the sheets. It was thin, very thin. He could almost see through it. He looked at the metal poles. They were light, too light. "This is paper," Daeho said quietly. An older man walked up beside him. His name was Park Junho. He was 45, a former military engineer with gray in his hair and scars on his arms. "I have seen better tents in disaster zones," Junho said. "This will not survive a strong breeze." "The Corvani live underground," Hana said. She had walked over to join them. "I read about them on the ship. When storms come, they go into their tunnels. They do not need strong surface buildings." "We are not Corvani," Daeho said. That night, the humans set up their tents in the valley. Daeho worked until his arms hurt. He helped families with children. He helped old people who could not bend their backs. By the time the 2 suns set, most of the tents were standing. Then the wind came. It was not a big storm. Daeho had seen worse in Busan during typhoon season, but the Corvani tents were not made for any wind at all. They shook. They bent. Some of them fell down completely. Children screamed. Parents ran through the dark, trying to hold their shelters together with their bare hands. Daeho stood in the middle of the camp. Rain hit his face. It was cold rain, colder than any rain on Earth. He watched a tent collapse on top of a family. He ran to help them out. The father was bleeding from a cut on his head. The mother was holding a crying baby. "Is everyone okay?" Daeho asked. The father nodded, but his eyes were empty. He looked like a man who had given up. By morning, the storm had passed. Daeho walked through the camp. 12 tents had fallen. Many more were damaged. No one was seriously hurt. but everyone was wet and cold and scared. Hana found him sitting on a rock, looking at the valley. "That was not even a bad storm," she said. "No," Deho agreed. "It was not." 18 months, Hana said. "We cannot survive 18 months in those tents." Deho was quiet for a long time. He looked at the trees with blue leaves. He looked at the purple dirt. He looked at his hands. "Then we do not wait," he said. That evening, Deho called a meeting. 40 people came. They stood in a circle around him as the two suns began to set. "I was a construction foreman," Deho said. "Back home, I built apartment buildings. I built them fast. Once my team finished a 15-floor building in 11 months. The company said it could not be done. We did it anyway." The people watched him. Some looked hopeful, some looked doubtful. "The Corvani want to give us shelters in 18 months, Deho continued. "But we do not need Corvani shelters. We need human shelters. Shelters built the human way, fast, strong, now." "With what?" asked Junho. "We have no tools, no materials, no machines." Deho pointed at the forest. "Those trees are wood. This ground is dirt and stone. The Corvani gave us polymer sheets for tents. We can use them for waterproofing. We have hands. We have minds. We have everything we need." "You want to build a house?" someone asked. "By tomorrow?" Deho shook his head. "Not a house. A long house. Big enough for 100 people. By tomorrow night, we will have walls and a roof. By the next storm, we will be inside, dry and safe." The crowd was silent. Then Hana stepped forward. "I will help," she said. Junho sighed. Then he stepped forward too. "I have built bridges in war zones," he said. "I suppose I can build a house on an alien planet." One by one, others joined them. By the time the suns were gone, Deho had 30 volunteers. He looked at them in the darkness. Their faces were tired but determined. They were far from home. They had nothing, but they were human, and humans built things. "Rest tonight," Deho said. "Tomorrow we work." Deho woke before the suns rose. He had not slept much. His mind was too busy with plans. He had spent most of the night drawing pictures on a broken tablet he found in the emergency supplies. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. On it, he had designed a simple building. 4 walls, a strong roof, nothing fancy, just solid. By the time the first sun appeared over the purple hills, Deho had organized his volunteers into teams. Hana would lead the material collectors. They would go to the forest and cut down the blue-leaf trees. Junho would lead the foundation team. They would dig holes and move stones. "The wood looks different here," Junho said, examining a branch Deho had collected the night before. "Lighter, but strong. It might work." "It will work," Deho said. "It has to." The work began at dawn. Hana took 15 people into the forest. They had no proper axes, so they used metal poles from the tent kits as cutting tools. It was slow work. The alien wood was tough, but the humans were tougher. Back at the building site, Junho marked the ground with stones. The longhouse would be 30 meters long and 10 meters wide, big enough for many families to sleep inside. Deho helped dig the foundation holes. The purple dirt was soft on top but hard underneath. His hands began to bleed. He did not stop. Around midday, a shadow fell over Deho. He looked up. A Corvani was standing there. It was smaller than Velith, younger looking. Its gray skin was lighter, almost silver. "I am Rin," the alien said. "I am an engineer. Administrator Velith sent me to observe your activities." Deho wiped sweat from his face. "Observe all you want, but stay out of the way." Rin watched as the humans worked. Her 4 arms hung at her sides. Her black eyes moved constantly, taking in every detail. After an hour, she spoke again. "You have not done an environmental impact study." "No," Deho said. You have not consulted with the soil specialists. No. You have not submitted plans to the construction council. Deho stopped digging. He looked at Rin. How long does all of that take? Rin thought about it. For a structure this size? Perhaps 3 months? Then construction planning would take another 2 months? Then... We do not have 3 months, Deho said. We do not have 3 days. My people are cold and wet and scared. Tonight they will have walls. Tomorrow they will have a roof. That is the plan. Rin was silent. Deho went back to digging. By afternoon, the first logs arrived from the forest. Hana's team had worked without stopping. They dragged the blue wood logs across the purple ground, leaving long trails in the dirt. The logs were heavy, but human hands are made for heavy work. Deho organized the assembly. Main posts first, he said. 4 corners, then every 3 meters along the walls. We lift together, we build together. 20 people lifted the first corner post. It was 3 meters tall and thick as a man's leg. They dropped it into the foundation hole. Junho poured water into the hole, then packed dirt around the base. Solid, Junho said, pushing against the post. It did not move. It will hold. 1 post became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 10. The frame of the longhouse began to take shape under the alien sky. As the workers built, others prepared food. A woman named Kim Sora had found that some of the local plants were safe to eat. She made a simple soup with water and vegetables. People ate quickly, standing up, then went back to work. Children too young to lift logs collected stones. Old people too weak to dig made rope from plant fibers. Everyone worked. Everyone helped. This was the human way. Rin watched it all. She did not understand. Corvani built slowly. They planned for years. They tested every material. They asked permission from councils and committees. These humans just built. It was strange. It was wrong. But it was also, in a way, beautiful. The second sun began to set. The frame was complete. 20 posts stood in a rectangle connected by beams of blue wood. Deho looked at it and smiled. It was rough. It was simple, but it was strong. Walls now, he said. We worked through the night. They worked by firelight. Junho had found a way to make fire using metal and stone. The flames lit up the building site as humans carried logs and hammered and cut. The sound of work echoed across the valley. Midnight came. The walls were half done. Some workers fell asleep where they stood. Others took their places. Deho did not sleep. He could not sleep. Not until it was finished. Hana brought him water. You need to rest, she said. After the roof, Deho said. You will fall down. Then I will fall down after the roof. Dawn came. The walls were complete. Solid walls of blue wood, tight and strong. No wind would knock them down. Deho climbed up to help with the roof beams. His body was tired, but his heart was full. The roof took all morning. They used the polymer sheets from the tent kits as waterproofing, layered over wooden planks. It was not pretty, but it would keep the rain out. By noon, the longhouse stood complete. Rough walls, a strong roof, a door made of woven branches. It was not an apartment building. It was not beautiful. But it was a house, a real house, built in one day by human hands. Deho stood in front of it. Around him, the workers collapsed on the ground, exhausted but smiling. Hana was crying. Junho was laughing. Sora was already planning how to arrange beds inside. Rin stood apart from them, her communicator device in her hands. She was transmitting video to Administrator Valeth. Administrator, Rin said, her voice shaking. You need to see this. They built a structure, a real structure, in one planetary rotation. I watched them do it. I do not understand how, but they did it. The communicator was silent for a long moment. Then Veleth's voice came through, cold and careful. Summon the council, Veleth said. Immediately. Deho did not hear any of this. He was already asleep, sitting against the wall of the house he had built. His hands were bleeding and blistered. His back ached, but on his face there was a small smile. Tomorrow there would be more work. There was always more work. But tonight, his people had walls. Tonight, his people had a roof. Tonight, his people had a home. The Corvani council chambers were deep underground. The walls were carved from stone that had been polished for 300 years. Lights that did not flicker hung from the ceiling. Everything was old. Everything was perfect. Everything took time. 12 elders sat in a half circle. Their gray skin was darker than the younger Corvani, almost black in places. They wore robes of silver cloth. They had seen many things in their long lives, but they had never seen anything like the video playing in front of them. The video showed humans, working, building, moving faster than any Corvani could move, lifting logs that should have been too heavy, digging holes that should have taken days. And at the end, a building, a real building, standing where empty land had been just one rotation before. "This is impossible," said Torak. He was the oldest elder, his forearms thin and weak with age, but his mind still sharp. "Play it again." Velith played the video again and again. Each time the elders watched in silence. Each time the building stood at the end. "It is not impossible," Torak said finally. "It is dangerous. A species that can build this fast could build weapons, fortifications, war machines. In the time it takes us to respond, they could have an army." "They built a shelter," Velith said, "not a weapon. They were cold. They were scared. They solved a problem." "Today it is a shelter," Torak replied. "What will it be tomorrow? We should never have agreed to host these creatures. They are unpredictable. They are chaotic. They do not follow the proper ways." "The Galactic Council asked us to help them," another elder said. "We agreed. We cannot simply send them away." "Then we move them," Torak said, "to a more isolated world, somewhere far from our cities, somewhere they cannot threaten us." The elders began to argue. Some agreed with Torak, some sided with Velith. The debate went in circles, as Corvani debates always did. They would talk for hours, days, weeks. That was the Corvani way. But while they talked, Rin was doing something no Corvani had ever done before. She was talking to a human. She found Deho in the longhouse, helping organize sleeping areas. He looked tired. His hands were wrapped in cloth bandages, but his eyes were still bright. "The council is meeting," Rin said. "About you. About what you built." Deho stopped working. "What are they saying?" "Some are afraid. Elder Torak wants to send you away, to another planet, far from Corvani space." Deho was quiet for a moment. "Because we built a house?" "Because you built it too fast. Our people do not understand. It frightens them." Deho looked around the longhouse. Families were settling in. Children were playing. For the first time since they arrived on Vera 7, people were smiling. He could not let them be sent away again. He would not. "Can I speak to this council?" Deho asked. Rin's black eyes went wide. "No human has ever addressed the council. It is not done." "Many things I have done were not done before," Deho said. "Can you take me to them?" Rin was silent for a long time. She thought about rules. She thought about tradition. She thought about the look in this human's eyes. Finally, she nodded. "Follow me." The journey underground took 2 hours. They walked through tunnels carved over centuries, past glowing crystals and silent machines. Deho tried to memorize the path, but it twisted and turned too many times. Finally, they reached the council chambers. The great doors were made of metal that had been polished until it looked like water. Rin spoke to the guards in the Corvani language. There was an argument. More talking. Then slowly the doors opened. 12 pairs of black eyes turned to look at Deho. He walked into the chamber alone. His boots echoed on the ancient floor. He stopped in the center of the room and looked up at the elders. "You are the builder," Torak said. It was not a question. "I am Kang Deho. Yes, I am the one who led the building. You built in one day what takes us a year. Explain this." Deho thought carefully before he spoke. "On my world, there is a saying, 'Time waits for no one.' Our planet was dangerous. We had storms. We had earthquakes. We had animals that wanted to eat us. If we did not build fast, we died. So you learned to build without thought," Torak said. "Without planning, without care." "No," Deho said. "We learned to think faster, plan faster, care faster. The building you saw is not careless. Every post is in the right place. Every beam is strong enough. I calculated everything. I just did it in hours instead of months." "You could build weapons just as fast," Torak said. "That is what concerns us." Deho met the elder's eyes. "I could. If I wanted to. If my people were threatened. If we had no choice. Humans are good at building weapons. We are also good at building houses, schools, hospitals. The choice is ours. We chose to build a home." "How can we trust that choice?" Torak asked. "You cannot," Deho said simply. "Trust is earned. Give us time. Watch us. See what we build. Then decide if we are dangerous or if we are just people trying to survive." The chamber was silent. Torak leaned back in his seat. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "You speak boldly for a refugee," Torak said. "I speak honestly," Deho replied. "My people are not refugees. We are settlers. We did not ask to come here, but we are here now. We will work. We will build. We will be good neighbors. But we will not be sent away like animals. We are human. We earned our place in the universe a long time ago." Velith stepped forward. "I propose we wait 3 months. Let the humans show us who they are. Then we decide." The elders talked among themselves. Torak said nothing. Finally, one by one, they agreed. 3 months. The humans would stay for 3 months. Deho bowed his head. "Thank you." As he turned to leave, Torak spoke one more time. "Human, what will you build next?" Deho paused at the door. "Whatever we need. That is what humans do. We see a problem. We build a solution. It has always been that way. It will always be that way." He walked out of the ancient chamber, back into the tunnels, back toward the surface, back toward his people. There was work to do. There was always work to do. 3 days after the council meeting, the sky turned black. Deho was working on the second building when Rin came running across the valley. She moved faster than he had ever seen a Corvani move. Her 4 arms waved in the air as she ran. "Storm," she said, breathing hard. "Category 7. Coming from the eastern mountains. It will be here in 6 hours." Junho looked up from his work. "Category 7? What does that mean?" "It means death," Rin said. "These storms happen once every 10 years. Wind speeds of 200 kilometers per hour, rain that falls sideways, lightning that strikes the ground hundreds of times. Nothing survives on the surface. Nothing." Deho stopped hammering. Around him, other workers had heard. Fear spread across their faces like a shadow. "What do the Corvani do?" Deho asked. "We go underground. We seal our cities. We wait." "Can we come underground with you?" Rin's black eyes looked away. "Our shelters can hold 200 more people. You have 500. The council has debated." "They cannot agree on who should be saved." Hana stepped forward. "So some of us live and some of us die? They want us to choose?" "I am sorry," Rin said. "I tried to argue. They would not listen." Deho looked at the longhouse. It was strong, stronger than the tents, but strong enough for a storm that came once in 10 years. He did not know. He could not know. But he knew one thing for certain. "We will not split up," he said. "We survive together or we die together. That is the only choice." The workers gathered around him. 500 people, men and women, old and young, children who had been playing in the purple dirt moments ago, all of them looking at Daiho, waiting. 6 hours, Daiho said. We have 6 hours to make the longhouse strong enough to survive. We need more support beams. We need to dig drainage channels so the water does not flood us. We need sandbags around the walls. We need to seal every crack in the roof. Can it be done? Junho asked. I do not know, Daiho admitted. But we will try. It is all we can do. The work began immediately. Every person who could work did work. Children carried stones. Old people wove ropes. The strongest workers cut new beams from the forest, racing against time. Junho designed the reinforcements, extra posts in the center of the building, cross beams along the walls, metal poles from the tent kits driven into the ground as anchors. The longhouse became a fortress. Hana led a team to dig channels around the building. If water came, it would flow away instead of in. The purple dirt was hard, but human hands made it soft. 4 hours passed. The sky grew darker. The wind began to whisper across the valley. Rin had not left. She stood at the edge of the work site, watching. Her communicator buzzed. Velith was calling her. Other Corvani were sealing themselves underground. She should go. She should be safe. Instead, she put the communicator away. Let me help, she said to Daiho. He looked at her. You will die with us if it fails. Then I will die having tried. She picked up a hammer with 2 of her arms. Show me what to do. 2 hours left. The wind was screaming now. Trees in the forest bent like grass. The 2 suns disappeared behind clouds that looked like bruises. Inside, Daiho shouted. Everyone inside. 500 people crowded into the longhouse. It was tight. Families pressed together. Children sat on laps. There was barely room to breathe, but they were inside. They were together. Daiho sealed the door. He had made it from the strongest wood he could find, with metal brackets holding it in place. He hoped it would be enough. The storm hit like a giant's fist. The walls shook. The roof screamed. Rain pounded against the polymer sheets like a million tiny hammers. Lightning flashed so bright that Daiho could see it through the walls. Thunder shook his bones. A support beam cracked. People screamed. Junho grabbed it, pushing against it with all his strength. I need help, he shouted. 3 other men joined him. Together they held the beam in place. Water began to seep through a crack in the wall. Hana stuffed cloth into the gap. It was not enough. More cloth, then mud. Then people pressing their bodies against the wall to keep the water out. The children were crying. Some of the adults were too. Kim Sora began to sing an old song from Earth. One by one, others joined her. Their voices rose above the sound of the storm. They sang because it was the only thing left to do. Hours passed. The storm did not stop. Daiho moved through the crowd, checking walls, checking beams, checking people. His voice was calm even when his heart was racing. Hold on, he said. Just hold on. It will pass. Everything passes. Rin sat in a corner, her 4 arms wrapped around a human child who had lost his parents in the crowd. The child was asleep now, exhausted from fear. Rin held him gently, like he was made of glass. The longest night of their lives crawled by. Minute by minute, hour by hour, the storm raged. The walls held, barely, but they held. Then, slowly, the wind began to quiet. The rain became lighter. The thunder moved away into the distance. Daiho walked to the door. His hands were shaking. He pushed it open. Dawn light poured in. The 2 suns were rising over the valley. The sky was clear and purple and beautiful. Outside, the world had changed. Trees were knocked down. The ground was covered in mud and broken branches. The tents that had been left outside were gone, torn away by the wind. But the longhouse stood, damaged, leaning a little to one side, missing some of its roof, but standing, solid, real. People began to emerge. They stepped out into the light, blinking, breathing, alive. Some fell to their knees. Some hugged each other. Some just stood there, staring at the sky. Rin pulled out her communicator. With trembling hands, she recorded an image. The longhouse. Battered, but standing. 500 humans, alive and safe. She sent the image to the council, to Velith, to Torak, to everyone. The message was simple. They survived. Deep underground, in the ancient council chambers, Torak received the image. He stared at it for a long time. The building that was built in one day. The building that survived the decade storm. The building that should have been impossible. For the first time in his long life, Torak had no words. 1 month after the storm, the valley looked different. 3 new buildings stood beside the original longhouse. A water system carried fresh water from a nearby stream. Gardens grew in neat rows, tended by Hana and her team. The human settlement had become a small village, and the Corvani came to watch. Every day, small groups of aliens walked up from their underground cities. They stood at the edge of the village and watched the humans work. They watched Daiho direct construction. They watched Junho test the strength of beams. They watched children play in the purple dirt. Some of them took notes. Some of them asked questions. All of them were amazed. Velith came often. She walked through the village slowly, looking at everything. "You have done in 1 month what would take us 5 years," she said to Daiho one afternoon. "How is this possible?" Daiho wiped his hands on his pants. They were always dirty now, always working. "We do not have 5 years," he said, "so we find a faster way." "But the quality! Your buildings survived the decade storm. Our simulations say they should have failed." "Maybe your simulations do not know everything," Daiho said. Then he smiled. "Or maybe humans are just stubborn. We do not like to fail." The Corvani Council made their decision 2 weeks later. They sent Velith to deliver the news. "The council has voted," she said, standing in the center of the village as humans gathered around. "Humans are granted permanent settlement rights on Vera 7. You may stay as long as you wish. You may build as you need. You are no longer guests. You are residents." The crowd cheered. People hugged each other. Tears flowed. After everything they had been through, they finally had a home that no one could take away. But Velith was not finished. "There is more," she said. "The council has also voted to begin a joint construction project. Humans and Corvani working together. We wish to learn from you, and perhaps you can learn something from us." Daiho stepped forward. "What kind of project?" "A community center. Here. In this valley. A building where humans and Corvani can meet. Talk, share knowledge. It will be the first building in history made by both our peoples." The project began the next week. Corvani engineers worked alongside human builders. It was strange at first. The Corvani wanted to plan everything in detail. The humans wanted to start working immediately. There were arguments, misunderstandings, frustration, but slowly they learned to meet in the middle. The Corvani taught the humans about new materials that lasted longer. The humans taught the Corvani how to work faster without losing quality. 2 ways of building became one. Rin was assigned to work with Daiho. She had changed since the storm. She smiled more. She asked more questions. She had become something rare among the Corvani, someone who was not afraid of change. "I have a message from Elder Torak," she said one day. "He wishes to speak with you, privately." Daiho was surprised. Torak had not spoken to any human since the storm. "Why?" "He did not say. But I think he wants to understand." The meeting happened in a small room in the underground city. Torak was waiting. He looked older than before, his gray skin darker, his movements slower, but his eyes were still sharp. "Sit," Torak said. Deho sat. I owe you an apology, Torak said. The words seemed difficult for him, like stones he had to push out of his mouth. I was wrong about your people. I thought you were dangerous. I thought you would destroy. Instead, you built, you created, you survived. We are still dangerous, Deho said quietly. Humans can destroy as fast as we build, maybe faster. That part of us is real too. Torak nodded slowly. Yes, I know. But I have learned something. It is not what a species can do that matters. It is what they choose to do. You chose to build. That choice means more than all the weapons you could have made. We built because we had to, Deho said. Survival comes first. No. Torak leaned forward. You could have survived underground with us. 200 of you. You chose to stay together. You chose to fight the storm. You chose to build something greater than survival. That is what I did not understand. That is what I had to learn. They sat in silence for a moment. Two beings from different worlds, different histories, different ways of thinking. But in that moment, they understood each other. News came the following week. More human refugees were being sent to other Corvani worlds. Thousands of them. Lost people with nothing but the clothes on their backs, just like Deho and his people had been. Velith asked Deho for help. Would you train teams? Teach other humans what you know? They will need builders, leaders, people who can show them how to survive. Deho agreed. He began holding classes. Junho taught engineering. Hana taught farming. Kim Sora taught cooking with alien plants. The first students were humans from the village. Soon, Corvani joined too. They sat side by side, learning from each other. The community center was finished 2 months later. It was beautiful. Corvani precision and human speed had created something neither species could have built alone. The walls were smooth and perfect. The roof was strong enough to survive any storm. And it had been built in half the time a Corvani project would normally take. On the day it opened, hundreds of humans and Corvani gathered inside. Velith gave a speech about cooperation. Torak spoke briefly about learning from mistakes, but it was Deho who people remembered. He stood at the front of the room, looking out at the crowd. Human faces, Corvani faces, all waiting. 1 month ago, he said, we were strangers, aliens to each other. Now we are neighbors, partners, maybe even friends. This building is proof of what we can do together. But buildings are not what matter most. He paused. What matters is what we build next, not walls and roofs, but trust, understanding, a future that includes all of us. That is the real work. That work never ends. After the ceremony, Rin found Deho outside. He was standing in front of the original longhouse, the first building they had made. It was old now, repaired many times, but still standing. Why did you build? She asked. That first night, you could have waited for us. You could have asked for help. Why did you choose to build? Deho was quiet for a long moment. He touched the rough wooden wall, the first beam they had raised, the first nail they had hammered. A house is not just walls, he said. It is a promise that says we are staying. We are not visitors. We are not refugees waiting for someone else to decide our future. We are home. When we build a house, we are saying to the universe, this is our place. We belong here. We will not be moved. He turned to look at the village. Humans and Corvani walked together in the fading light. Children played. Adults talked. Life continued. You built us shelters, Deho said, and we thank you for that. But we needed more than shelter. We needed to build ourselves a future, and that we had to do on our own. The two suns set behind the mountains. Purple shadows stretched across the valley. Somewhere a child laughed. Somewhere a hammer struck wood. The work continued. The building never stopped. It never would.